Hi everybody, this is Dr. Tiffany Lamond and Coach Lamond from Lamond Wellness. So today we're walking on the Haw Creek Trail, and we are not social distancing, but we're social distancing from everybody else like we're supposed to. And this is where we have a lot of our best conversations on the trail, right?
Right.
First thing I need to tell you though is you need to make sure that this is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and should I'm going to leave that in there. And you should never take this as a substitution for seeking out professional medical advice for your own individual circumstance. And watch out for sticks, because if you trip and you fall, you'll probably end up being my patient. So here we are in beautiful Cumming, Georgia on Haw Creek Trail, and this is like a 3-mile trail in downtown Cumming. So for those of you who are my patients that are really interested in sort of getting started on trail work, but want something fairly simple and easy. So this is a fairly low technical trail, and it's only about 3 miles, and you can bike on it, hike on it, or run on it. So it's really pretty beautiful, and it's a great option for you guys to get started. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things that you can do to increase your immunity. And I feel like this is a subject that has really been glossed over in the midst of all of this social distancing and hand washing, which is all great. I mean, that's all important stuff. But I don't hear much talk about things like, hey, make sure you get 8 hours of sleep. And when if you don't, you're significantly impairing your own immunity. Actually, I'm going to tell you a little nerdy subject. So there's this study, about 150 subjects, where they inoculated all of their nostrils with rhinovirus, which is kind of crazy all by itself because people deliberately got infected with a virus. And then what they did is they split the group in half. If I'm winded, it's because we're walking. And half of them got 4 hours of sleep, and half of them got 8 hours of sleep. And then what they did is they measured, pretty gross, they actually measured all their secretions and everything. It was kind of nasty. But then what they looked at is what percentage of the people actually converted to having the infection. And they found that the people who had 4 hours of sleep, they had a 50% infection rate, but the people who had 8 hours of sleep only had an 18% infection rate. And that was after controlling for all other variables, which is pretty amazing because that ultimately is nearly a 3-fold increase in immunity just by getting 8 hours of sleep. So my first recommendation for you guys is to really take sleep seriously, really strive for 8 hours of sleep. And I'm going to do a little plug. I don't get paid for this, but there is a book you guys should all seriously consider reading. It's called Why We Sleep. It's written by this, I'm forgetting his name in this moment, but he's a PhD, and he has spent his entire career researching sleep, and it's a fantastic, fantastic book. I highly recommend it for you guys. I know that the average American really, really struggles with not only getting sleep, but getting good quality sleep, and as well as some people can fall asleep, but they can't stay asleep, or they can't fall asleep. It's a fantastic book, but also really make efforts to try and improve your sleep quality. Okay, immunity project number 2 is staying hydrated. People are generally grossly underhydrated, and just as a general rule of thumb, I've actually made another video on this, and I can link it, but it's pretty brief, is you should be getting approximately half your body weight in ounces of water per day. Now that obviously can go up or down slightly, and if you're really active or it's really hot, it should go up from there. But a good basis is about half your body weight in ounces per day. Now, for those of you who are really underhydrated, when you first do this, you're gonna notice for the first 3 days that you're gonna be urinating a lot. That will even out if you continue to do the hydration status consistently. But if you're inconsistent, every time you go through an increased hydration state, you're going to start urinating more often. And for those of you who have issues with urinating a lot at night, consider being very conscious of spacing it out throughout your day. So one of the ways that I do that is that we have these big cups. I have like a Yeti cup, and I have some other versions of that where if I drink 2 of them, I'm doing pretty good. If I drink 3 of them, I'm doing really great. So I try as best I can to try and space out throughout the day and accomplish drinking those volumes of water per day. For those of you who are like, ugh, I hate water, I don't want to drink water, and that's fine, but there are ways to improve your water intake without necessarily drinking a bunch of junk. So you can put lemon slices, lime slices, you can do herbal teas without adding sweetener to it. I like to do that with just a tea bag, and it's just an herbal tea. It makes it a little bit, you know, fancy, more fancy tasting and a little bit easier to get more down, but without adding a bunch of added sugar and junk. All right, immunity boosting concept number 3 is your nutrition. Let's be real. We are very painfully aware that the standard American diet is woefully undernourished and overcaloric. So what I want to suggest to you is, why don't you start to look at making small shifts where you're going to increase the vitamin and mineral consumption or the micronutrient consumption of your diet toward a healthier, balanced, more balanced diet. We spend a lot of time talking about, I need to take this out, I need to take this out, but very rarely are people talking about what they need to put into their diet. And one of the things that is really important is the vitamins and minerals that are really devoid of highly processed foods. So, starting point, really look at your vegetable and fruit consumption. A good variety of color will indicate a good variety of micronutrients. And a lot of people, they really struggle with getting enough vegetables. So as a quick little tip for you guys is, if you are decent about getting vegetables at dinner time, but you really struggle with getting vegetables the rest of the day, just look at what you're currently eating. And instead of thinking of replacing it entirely, think about adding a fruit or a vegetable to that meal, slightly decreasing the portion size, and you will start to be making a shift in the right direction. So for example, if you have a sandwich for lunch, put some lettuce and tomato on it, rather than just the meat and the cheese. That's a step in the right direction. Or add a piece of fruit to your meal. Someone coming up behind me, I don't want to get her in the video. All right, back to the nutrition conversation. So when it comes to your immunity, I don't want to get too heavy into some of the research in regards to the micronutrients, but I'll suffice it to say that there are certain micronutrients that have been either well established or at least have some evidence to improve your immunity. There's some conflicting evidence around vitamin C, and zinc has some pretty decent evidence depending on the type of zinc. So that's just a good example of things that you can look at. Okay. Concept number 4 for immunity improvement is I'm going to talk about stress management. And this is one of those subjects, it's like, seriously, it's so easy to say, it's really, really hard to do. And I'll probably make a video to expand on a couple of things that you can do in this regard. There's actually so much information that I'd like to cover, and I have really neglected these videos for a while, but I'm back on it, and I really want to help you guys. So, as best you can, try and manage your stress, whether that's through deep breathing, through meditation, through guided awareness, through body scanning, through yoga, through, taking a bath, taking 15 minutes for yourself, going to counseling, professional counseling. So these are all options to help with stress management. But to be fair, stress is a huge, huge indicator, not only for other health metrics, but it does really decrease your immune function. So stress management is another way to help prevent getting all kinds of nasty infections. Okay, immunity boosting tip number 5 is Nathan's favorite, and that is exercise. So of course, at Le Monde Wellness, we are very, very big fans of exercise. And you all know that I'm quite nerdy, so as far as research is concerned, unless you're doing really ultra endurance things where there is some evidence that it does decrease your immunity, exercise in general is really good for your immune system and really good for immune function. So right now it is gorgeous out. It is the most beautiful time of year in Georgia. Some places in the country, maybe not as beautiful. Maybe others are still pretty cold, like where my brother lives and there's still snow. But getting outside has its own additional benefits. I have a whole nother video on that. I can link that in the description box as well. So if you want to take a look into some grounding and some earthing, I have that. But as far as exercise in general is concerned, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't go to the gym. You do not need to go to a gym. You can exercise at home with very minimal, if any, equipment. You can go outside. And a lot of my patients are like, I can't go outside because my knee is hurt or my hip is injured. Well, your upper body and your core is not injured. So stop making excuses for everything that you can't do and start finding the things that you can do. Right?
Right.
So all that aside, even people with disabilities, there's ways, there's options for everyone. So get outside, get a little vitamin D, also good for your immune system. And get a little bit of earthing or grounding, which is good for your mental health. And get some exercise, which is good for your heart and lungs and everything else. If there was ever a reason to go outside, it's stuff like this. Like seriously, you're beautiful. And he has a buddy over here. Where is he? There's two of them. I can't find the other one. But let's go over here so I can see you. Hey. Coach, so what have you been doing in the midst of all of this crazy coronavirus? I can't go to the gym. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to exercise. What you been doing with your patients and your clients?
So we've been going outside. We've been going to a lot of parks because we can't go to the gym. It doesn't have to be a run around your neighborhood or a run around the track. It doesn't have to be a long walk. A lot of people say their ankles or their feet or their hips or knees hurt. It can be lots of different things. We can work on core. You could do isometric exercise that we could show you how to do in another video where you're not even moving. We're getting a great workout. There are all kinds of equipment that are reasonably inexpensive to get that you could use at home. We've been doing 20-minute workouts all the way up to an hour workout, even sometimes just stretching. All these things count as good exercise.
All right, friends, I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. I gave you a few tips on how to try and increase your immune function with things outside of just hand washing and just social distancing. And hopefully you'll find those to be helpful, not only for now, but moving forward. These are not isolated situations to just because we're dealing with COVID-19. It's also related to your whole life, and really any flu season. This could be, be a real issue. We see, we have an uptick in infections every flu season. So, but my main thing here is we are not in the business of sick care. We're in the business of health care, and being healthy is definitely possible. But it does take effort. It takes education. It takes time. But the reward of that is far outweighs any of the time that's invested in it. And I hope that you guys are feeling well and that your family is well. And have a good afternoon from those of us at Le Monde Wellness.